Welcome to the Building Success Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Ellis, and today I have with me Joey Summers. Joey is our Vice President of our Project Controls Division here at ACE Consulting. Welcome, Joey.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's get right in with our icebreaker question. Like to always start with one of those to kind of break the tension a little bit and see what your thoughts are. So first icebreaker question, or the icebreaker question for you today is, are you a process guy or a result guy?
I'm going to answer this two different ways. I'm a results guy. I mean, quick and easy answer, I'm a results guy.
Okay.
However, I am a firm believer in having good processes in place. I think if you have good processes in place, you're more likely to get good results. However, we're in the people business, especially here at ACE, and people change things all the time. So I'm a very big believer. You got to be able to act on the fly. Sometimes the process you have in place is not going to work for every situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all know that in construction, especially. So if that comes up, I ditch the process so I can still get my result.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's we've been talking about that a lot lately here within the organization and having all the processes and everything that we have in place, but then what's more important, the process that gets you the result or the result because of the process. It's interesting, and I know we all like to rely on Mr. Saban, famous Nick Saban. He is very much a process guy, but then there are other organizations that are strictly driven off of the result. So no wrong answer. It's just always interesting to see, what people say. Now, you've been with us for several years now, leading our project controls division. Prior to that, you had a pretty long career in project management. Tell us a little bit about your journey, where you started, where you've been. Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. My interest in construction in general started when I was still a kid. I used to do side jobs with my dad. Poured a lot of concrete. He taught me how to finish concrete. We would build sheds, decks together. So always just enjoyed working with my hands. My dad told me I should go to school for it if I want to do it,
mm-hmm.
so that I could be in an office setting at some point in my career. So I went to EKU construction management program, graduated from there, immediately started working for a large construction manager, Louisville, Kentucky. Was there for about 15 years, senior project manager. So I was out on large job sites full time, office job sites. Had a little experience with a little bit of everything, manufacturing, parking garages, hospitals, airports. So pretty diverse experience. Got to the point where, I had seen a lot on the project management side, experienced a lot. I was kind of looking for a new challenge, something new for my career. Luckily came across, talked with Scott here at ACE, and worked out. It's worked out great so far.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite project that you worked on?
I do. My favorite project would be the U of L Pediatric Center. It was a 9-story pediatric facility.
Mm-hmm.
Very unique design. The exterior had a lot of terracotta, different colors, yellow, blue, green. They made it with the kids in mind.
Right.
It looks amazing driving up to it. There's metal panels, there's different angles. It's just a very unique building. And on the inside, there's a lot of really cool features to just make it fun for the kids.
Right.
That was definitely my favorite project. One of the things that's most gratifying for me in construction is seeing the completed project at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that one in particular, I can still remember the kids walking in on open day. Some of these kids have terminal illnesses.
Right.
And watching them walk into this facility, their eyes were just lighting up, and it was like they were walking into Chuck E. Cheese or something.
Right.
Which to me, that's so rewarding and gratifying.
Yeah.
That, most kids walking into a standard hospital are going to be terrified.
Right.
So that would be my favorite project.
Okay, cool.
Outside of that, my other favorite project, I built a Princess Castle for my girls in our basement and surprise them for Christmas.
I remember that. I've seen pictures. I've seen pictures. It's pretty good too. Um, Tell me a little bit about your leadership style. You have been in project management, as you kind of explained. You've been in project management for well over a decade now, pushing 2 decades in management at this point. What do you classify as your leadership style?
Yeah, so if you look at my disc format, I'm deliberate, resolute, commanding. I know the results I want to see. I push my team to get there, hold people accountable. But I'd say another big part of my leadership style is I'm collaborative. I am here to support my team. I'm not here to tell them exactly what to do and exactly how to do it. I'm here to help them get results. So I like to get everybody's input. I tell all my team members, I might not agree with you, but I definitely want to hear your input. I want your feedback. I want to know what I can do better to serve you better.
Right.
So I try to make it a very collaborative team environment to where we're all working together.
Okay, cool. Good to know. All the rage in leadership books and TED Talks and all that kind of stuff right now is all culture and strategy. Culture and strategy, culture and strategy. There's some famous quotes about culture eats strategy for breakfast, and there's the other side of that where you have nothing if you don't have strategy. So curious kind of where you land on the pendulum of culture and strategy. Are you a culture guy? Are you a strategy guy? Are you both? Is there a healthy mix? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to answer this in a similar way to how I answered the process and result question. First and foremost, I think you got to have the culture. If you don't have the culture, your strategy is going to fail. The company is going to fail. You're just not going to get to where you need to go. However, strategy is obviously extremely important, but I think culture needs to guide your strategy. So that's why I would say I'm more culture over strategy.
Lean towards culture. Yeah. And that seems to be a popular answer right now. There definitely has to be some strategy involved. It can't just be like, sunshine and butterflies the whole time. You got to have some direction to go. But I tend to agree with you, and I have learned a lot about culture being here, and as we've grown as an organization from not really having any office and everyone working remote to having an office and having a bunch of people and then having multiple offices in different cities and the challenges of what that culture means. But it's a good challenge and it's a fun challenge, and you and I both welcome it. So I love it. I'd like for you to talk about your people a little bit, past, present, future, maybe impactful leaders, people on your team that are impactful, any regrets that you might have, if you could elaborate on that a little.
Yeah. I've obviously worked with a ton of people throughout my career, especially being on job sites. And I would say in general, I try very hard to learn something from every individual that I work with or around. I've been pretty successful with that, especially working on a job site. I'm around people pushing a broom. I'm around the foreman. I'm around superintendents. I'm around owners that we're doing the work for. And everyone's got something that they can teach people. So I try to soak that in as much as possible. But I would say my biggest regrets would be in certain situations not taking action sooner. If there's an issue or a problem, sometimes it was easy to justify, well, everything's so busy and chaotic right now, I just need to push this to the side for a minute and focus on other things. And that has bit me a couple of times.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer, and I tell my team now that doing nothing is about the worst thing you can do. You might not have the right answer, but you need to take action. You need to take the next step forward, and then you can figure out the next step after that.
Right. Well, and that's something that you and I both struggle with and we're both working to get better on. And it's not an indecision thing. It's you're analytical. I'm analytical. It's processing data to make a decision. But a lot of times sometimes it's better to make the decision so that you have a way forward and then correct on the fly as you need to, and I think sometimes we get really focused in on getting something 100% done. Well, let's get it 80% complete, roll with it, and then fix the other 20% as we're going, so that we don't spend 6 months, getting it to that 100% perfect point. So I feel your pain on that for sure. You and I are very similar in a lot of ways in that. Do you have, or what is your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal for life?
My BHAG, I would say the next big one coming up for me would be getting my MBA.
Okay.
I'm turning 40 this year. I've got 3 girls at home, busy at work. I never really anticipated going back to college, especially at this age. But it's something I'm very excited for and want to take that next step.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Good to know. What is or was your biggest roadblock? And this could be past, present, whatever it might be. What do you deem as your biggest roadblock?
I'd say me, myself. I'm my own biggest roadblock. A lot of things I've worked on and have gotten better, but throughout my career, there have been times where, for example, coming over to Ace, in my position back then, was afraid of taking that risk for a long time. Scott had talked to me for several years, trying to convince me to come over. And it's like, man, I've got such a great job now. It's steady. Like, I've got a guaranteed future. I was afraid of taking big risk. And that got me to a point where I was a little burnt out in the career I was in and what I was doing. Finally took that risk, and it's paid off, and it's been great. So that's really taught me that I need to be open to taking more risk. I'd say the other big roadblock, kind of throughout my career, has been stress. I'm a lot better handling stress now than I was early in my career, but there were times where I would let the stress of the project, I would carry all that.
Yeah.
And, construction projects, everybody's aware, though, there's so much stress. You can't carry all that yourself, but being the project manager, the guy in charge, I carried it all myself, and it weighed me down.
Yeah. Yeah. For anybody that is watching this, that is involved with or has been involved with a construction project, it's critical to not take it home with you. I was the same way when I was out in the field, going out on site and navigating an issue, and you can just feel your stress level and your blood starting to boil, and try not to take that home with you and manage all the other 1,000 things that are going on can be very complicated on a construction project. And probably any project manager, whether it's an IT project, probably deals with similar complications. But like I said, my biggest thing there is really trying to not take it home, because we've all found ourselves, you get home and it's very difficult to snap your fingers and turn things off. You carry what you've experienced at work home, whether you mean to or not, so trying to walk in the door with maybe you decompress on that ride home. So I get it for sure, man. What do you see as your biggest success? Could be personal, it could be work related. What do you see as that?
Yeah. From a personal standpoint, just my wife and 3 girls, my family, they mean the world to me. Being able to provide for them and send them to good schools. I consider that my biggest success. From a work standpoint, career standpoint, I've had, all of my projects have been very difficult, as most of them are. Most of my projects have had very strict deadlines where I've got students moving into a dorm on a certain date, or children who need to show up at the hospital on a certain date, work out at the airport, which was critical. So a lot of these critical projects with very critical deadlines and all kinds of issues in the world, whether they were self-induced or design delays or owner delays, I always still hit those dates. Everybody moved in on time. Now, sometimes that meant me and the other managers working 18, 20-hour days that last week, scrubbing bricks on the ground so the students could move into a nice, neat place. But we did that and got everybody moved in on time.
Good. All right. Good to hear. Do you have any unfulfilled dreams?
At this point in my life, I feel like I've fulfilled a lot of my dreams. Personally, I'd like to travel more in the future. That'd be one of my big personal dreams. Outside of that, it's really helping my daughters fulfill their dreams at this point.
Yeah. Same with me, man. Three, we're both in the 3-kid club. So I can feel your pain on that one. Where do you want to go from here? So you're unique in asking this with being in ACE's organization. You're in a leadership role in ACE. And we've all obviously talked about what the plan looks like, for getting us the next 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years. But where do you want to go, in the next several years, and what do you want to do here at ACE?
I want to continue to find new ways to contribute to ACE. I want to continue learning, continue growing, and moving up and just having a bigger impact on ACE as a whole. Like you mentioned, I'm over the project control sector, but I want to help out all the sectors and really contribute there.
Okay. Before we move on, I'll share a little bit about since you're internal, if this were another guest on here, obviously we'll allow them to tell a little bit about what their company does. Can you share a little bit about what the project controls division does here at ACE for the guest?
Yeah, absolutely. The easy way I tell people is that project controls, we're an easy button for contractors or owners of contractors. We can help with a multitude of things. By far, one of the biggest things we do is scheduling services. Mm-hmm. We help contractors with their schedules, whether it's building it out initially, keeping it updated. Sometimes they bring their schedules to us that they've already created, and we can review it for them. We can fix it for them. We can do time impact analysis, really any service you need with scheduling, we can handle. Outside of that, we also do safety plans, quality control plans. We do submittal assistance, fractional PM services. So really just any kind of management support you can need on a project, chances are we can help you with that.
Okay, good deal. Do you have, I always like to leave the audience with a leadership quote or a book. Do you have a favorite leadership quote or a favorite book or anything like that somebody may be able to take away as something tangible out of this podcast?
My favorite leadership quote is, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail."
Okay.
Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Okay, there you go. That's a good one. That's all I've got. Appreciate you being on. Thank you for your time. We'll get this out to everybody. And as always, you guys know kind of what we do. Welcome to email, call, text us. We're always available. Like Joey said, we want to be an easy button for our clients. So if there is anything that we can do, we certainly will attempt to make your project easier. So Joey, thank you again for being on. Appreciate it. And until next time, thank you.